Hi there guys, and welcome to this week's video blog. Slightly different approach this week. Rather than looking at the charts like we normally do and going through a technical topic, what I want to do is go through a short presentation. The reason for that is a couple of days ago I spent some time with a friend of mine who has decided or is interested in becoming a trader. So the outcome of the conversation we had was really me giving him a unbiased version of events of life as a trader, the pros and the cons, so that he could make an informed decision as to whether he wanted to become a trader. Now, after the conversation, I thought it'd make for a really good presentation for you guys, because I know many of you following the blog are new to trading, are in your early stages of your trading career, have maybe paused with your trading and are thinking about starting again. So I thought it'd be a really useful presentation for you guys to help you with making a decision as to whether you start life as a trader, reignite your trading journey, or decide not to do it. But either way, I want to give you as best as possible an unbiased version of events of life as a trader. Now, I'm naturally going to be slightly biased because I love what I do. I've loved my journey in becoming a trader, but I appreciate that for anyone embarking on that journey, it's important for you to weigh up both sides, the pros and the cons, so that you can then make an informed decision as to whether you want to become a trader. Because becoming a trader, you need to be fully committed and fully behind it, and that means accepting the potential downsides that trading brings. And this is the same for any career that you may be embarking on. You want to be looking at the pros and cons of both sides. So hopefully I can give you the benefit of my experience to help you make that decision. So, short presentation on really answering the question, should I become a trader? So we're going to start with the cons of trading. This is not to put you off, it's just to give you the downside of trading, because there are some elements which I don't enjoy massively, but because of the pros for me outweigh the cons. And if that's the same for you, then I'd thoroughly recommend you becoming a trader. If the cons are giving you any concerns or challenges, then it's just maybe a matter of you parking it and waiting until you are in a position to proceed. So we'll kick off with the cons of trading first. So the 5 worst things about being a trader, and I'm sure there are more, but for me these are the 5 that stand out most. So point 1, and this is mainly for when you're starting as a trader, and it's an investment up front with no initial returns. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, in investment, most people think of money, but yes, it does involve money, but it also involves a hell of a lot of time as well, because when you first start out in your trading career, you need to educate yourself. You need to learn the techniques to make you a consistent trader. So that means investing money in spending time with a mentor, going on a course, doing some stuff online, whatever it may be, and then spending time becoming a master of what you're doing. Like any skill, it takes time to become a master of it. However, with trading, what you're looking to do is get a return on your investment. However, in the early few months, you're going to struggle, you're going to find it challenging, you're going to find it hard because it's all new. So you're going to find that your returns are very limited, and this can become very, very, it can make you feel a little bit down, a little bit negative towards trading, when really, if you compare it to anything else you'd embark upon, it's exactly the same thing. But because you've invested money and you've invested time, naturally you're going to want to see a pretty quick return on that. But it's going to take some time to get to that point. For me personally, it took in the region of 12 to 18 months to become consistent. It took me an investment of several £1,000s initially to get up and running with the educational side of things, but I had that strong belief that so long as I just gave it time and I worked hard at it, I'd eventually get to the point where I did see a return on my investment. But did I get a little bit down? Did I become a little bit despondent that I wasn't seeing a return on my investment for a good 12-18 months? Absolutely. I wanted to start clocking up the profits and starting to return the investment to cover my costs and to then start showing me a profit. But it took time. I had to keep that strong belief and that strong confidence, that strong motivation to keep me through that initial stage, which is really the learning stage before you get to the more competent stage later down the line, where you then start to see a return on your investment. So you've got to bear in mind that that is going to be an inevitable part of your journey. It's not a great one, but it's an important one, because what you do up front makes you the trader in the long term that you become. Point 2 is work guilt. What do I mean by that? Well, trading is very unusual. It's very different to normal standard jobs. What I mean by that, well, let me use me as an example. I was in marketing, and it was a great job. And for me to become more and more successful at that job, I had to work longer and harder to impress my boss, to get a promotion, to get more money, etc., etc., to get overtime. I had to work longer and harder. And I felt great when I got my rewards after that. I felt justified for those rewards. I felt proud of myself. With trading, that isn't the case. Trading more and working harder and longer doesn't equate to more profits. It doesn't guarantee more profits. In fact, it probably does the opposite. When you overtrade, it does the opposite effect and actually causes you to give more money back to the market. So a lot of trading is being patient and sitting on your hands and not doing much apart from checking them every now and again. And when you do that, you feel very guilty, especially when you're seeing your girlfriend or your partner or your mum, your dad, your brother, your friends going to work and working a long, hard day and coming back absolutely knackered at the end of the day whilst you've just been checking your charts every few hours. Now, that can make you feel extremely guilty, and I do, even to this day, feel a little bit of guilt that I'm not working hard enough. But what I can't let that translate into is me then trying to force it and take more trades and do more work, because that does not necessarily mean you're going to make more money. Being patient and disciplined to not trade is just as important as trading when the markets are giving you great opportunities. So you can get a lot of work guilt from that, especially if you're coming from a conventional job, marketing, sales, law, etc., where you're working long, hard hours to get your rewards at the end of the day. So that's an important part to one, accept and to deal with. But you will find that it's not a wonderful part of trading. Number 3, losing stroke being wrong becomes a regular thing. Now, this is mainly for the guys, but human beings in their very nature don't like to lose or be told they're wrong. When we trade, it's inevitable that we're going to have losing trades and told that our theory for a particular trade is wrong, and that becomes a regular thing. Now, in the early days, I'd come from a sporting background, so hated losing. I was a young guy, and I hated being told I was wrong. So with trading, that made me feel a little bit rubbish. So when I was taking a losing trade and being wrong, I felt like I'd let myself down. I felt a little bit despondent with everything. So that can be a bit of a downside to trading as well, especially if you're going through a bit of a rough patch. You're having a losing day, a losing week, a losing month, and you just feel a little bit down that the market is working against you. And really, it's just part and parcel of trading. Again, if you can accept and embrace that, it doesn't become a problem, but it can affect your emotions quite significantly, especially in the early days where you're struggling to get on top of your emotions. As you trade more and more and more, you become more accustomed to it, and it dulls down the sensations a little bit, but you still have that element there right at the back of your mind that's eating away at you every now and again. But as long as you accept it and know that so long as your profits and your winning trades overcome your losing trades, then really in the bigger picture you are winning and you're being proved correct. But on an individual basis, you can be losing and being proved wrong on a regular basis. Point 4, you can become your own worst enemy. What do I mean by this? Well, I find that most of my mistakes in trading don't come from my technical mistakes, not from my strategy. I normally apply my strategy very, very well. What it does come from is my emotions, the fear and greed. As human beings, we are naturally emotional. We're going to have emotions when we're looking at money going up and coming down. Fear and greed are going to cause you to become your own worst enemy, and you can sometimes become quite resentful of yourself where you're letting your emotions do your trading rather than your logic. And again, it's more sensitive in the early days when you're getting on top of your emotions and getting used to the markets, but it'll still always be there. And you can have days where you do feel a little bit down, a little bit despondent, because you know that your emotions have caused your downfall in a particular trade, and that can cause you some pain, which again isn't nice. But just as much as that can you can be your worst enemy. If you do get on top of your emotions and you become disciplined, you can become your best asset in the trading environment as well. And then 5, it can get extremely boring. Like I said with point 2, is you can have times where you are literally doing nothing for maybe days, where you are not trading because your strategy or your trading plan does not allow you a good trading opportunity. And this means that you can have time that you're spent not doing anything but checking your trades, and it can get extremely boring. People have this perception of traders and it all exciting and shouting and screaming. In reality, it can be like that when the markets are very active and you're very excitable, but it can be the complete opposite when the markets just go very stagnant and do nothing, and it becomes very, very boring, which is why it's important. And me personally, I always make sure that I've got other things to occupy me, whether that's coaching and mentoring other people, doing some stuff on my blog, heading to the gym. It's really, really important that when the markets start to stagnate, which can happen on many occasions, that you have other things to do. So for me, those are the 5 worst things about being a trader. If you're comfortable with them, if you can accept the fact that they are part and parcel of trading and you're happy with those, then really you really should be looking at becoming a trader. And we'll look at the pros going forward. If any of these concern you or you think they'll be an issue for you, then maybe just park it and do a little bit more research. Feel free to email me and ask me any questions in terms of my journey, and hopefully we can overcome any of the challenges you may have. It may be a temporary thing, or you may just decide, no, it's not for me, and that's not a bad thing as well. For me, I think it's so important that you're fully committed to being a trader. I think if there's one thing that you need, it's full commitment to becoming a successful trader. If you're umming and ahhing and you're dwindling a little bit in terms of your desire to become a trader, I think it's best not becoming a trader, because you need to be fully committed. And it's the same if you wanted to do anything. You need to be fully committed to get you to the point of seeing success long term. Okay, so let's have a look at the pros of trading. So the 5 best things, what I love most about being a trader. There's many things, but these stand out for me as the most beneficial of being a trader. So the first point is geographically untied. Is with technology advancing these days, my iPhone has become my office. I take that everywhere I need to go. I've got my charts on it. I can execute via my broker, via my phone. I can check news, whatever I need to do. I can trade from wherever I am in the world. So it keeps me untied. I'm not fixed to one particular location. Yes, we need to make sure we've got a decent location in terms of time zones to make sure we're trading at the most optimum times, and also that we've got a decent internet connection. There's no point being tucked away in a forest where you can't get an internet connection. So that's important, but it does give you that ability to travel and work at the same time. And for me and many people that I've coached over the years, that is a wonderful thing for them. You can take your office with you. And I've had the fortune to trade in some wonderful countries, and will continue to do that for the rest of my career. And for me, I find that such an attractive part of life as a trader. Point 2, outperform the market substantially. Well, I was recently, every time I log into my my online platform for my bank, I'm constantly bombarded with the latest and greatest investment offers, and I was looking at the ISAs recently, which, yes, it's a tax haven, so you can avoid paying any tax, but you can only invest in the UK, especially up to £15,000. And I think the best rate that I could find was about 1.7% return after 12 months. Now, if you take into account inflation, you're probably actually losing money by keeping money in an ISA. So for me, the investment market is so poor right now, especially with the interest rates being so low. There's really nothing out there that can give you a substantial return on your investment apart from learning the skill yourself and doing it yourself. Now, in the early days of trading, yes, I wasn't seeing that consistency, but once I got up and running, I was looking at 5-6% a month, and that's a month. When you compare that I'd smashed the bank rate by 6 times in a month rather than the full 12 months, you then start saying to yourself, I don't want my money anywhere else. I've got the skill now to grow my account much more substantially than many other investment vehicles in the market. Now, your argument will be, well, yes, you can lose your money if you're trading yourself whilst in an ISA. It's safe and secure. Absolutely, that is the potential downside. But once you're confident in your ability and you use stringent risk management rules, the likelihood of that is minimal. And I feel that keeping money in these safe but poorly yielding investment vehicles, it's more of a risk having it in those than it is trading it yourself or learning the skill to trade it yourself, because you can outperform the market not just a little bit but substantially. And if you're doing it over the long term, you're going to see the benefits on a month by month basis using the compounding effect, which for me is the 8th wonder of the world. Point 3, time flexibility. What do I mean by that? Well, especially with the FX markets, I specialize in FX, and because they're 24/6, it gives you the ability to have flexibility as to when you trade. So I've varied a little bit in terms of my approach. I've looked at some end of day trading, so just trading in the evening, and then having the rest of the 24 hours to do whatever I want to do, and that was great flexibility. I've now gone back to intraday trading, so I can dip in either the London session during the morning or the New York session in the afternoon. It just gives me that time flexibility. It says there's no pressure for me to be sat at my desk all day long. So as well as me being geographically untied and being able to travel, I don't need to be stuck at my charts 24/7 watching the markets. I can actually just check them every now and again and dip in and out as and when I feel like it, and apply my strategies in a particular time zone. So it gives you that flexibility, that wonderful flexibility to do other things, because we don't want to just become monotonous and boring and spend 24 hours at a chart. We want to have variety in our lives. We want to have that flexibility to trade when we want and not trade when we want as well. Having the freedom of choice, for me, the trading has given me the freedom of choice in many, many areas, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing, and well worth the investment of all those thousands of pounds that I put in and all those hours of effort that I put in to get me to where I want to be. It's well worth that investment, purely because you start getting freedom of choice in many, many aspects of your life. Point 4, time and money are disproportionate. So in your normal conventional job, with my marketing job, when I first worked at the marketing job, I worked X amount of hours and got X amount of money. Month in, month out, X amount of hours, X amount of money. Now, with trading, as your account starts to grow, you're not investing more time to make it grow even more. You continue to apply the same amount of hours based on your trading plan. It may be less for some, more for others, but you invest a roughly similar amount of hours each and every single month. But because your account is getting bigger, your financial returns on your investment are getting bigger. So money's getting bigger, but you're not expending any more time to get that money. If you're giving time away for money, really, that's not what I call wealthy. What I call wealthy is when you're getting more money for actually involving less time. So you're freeing up more time to do the things you want, whilst at the same time earning more money, so long as your account is growing over time. And that is just a wonderful concept. It's a wonderful concept, because yes, trading is about making great financial returns, but why are we doing it? We want those financial returns for a certain reason. To do more things, to travel more, to spend more time with our family, to go on more trips, to go to more events, whatever it may be. The outcome of trading is the profits, but it's what we're doing with those profits to enhance our life. And freeing up more time is one of the most important things, and what really makes a person wealthy is that they have more time as well as more money. Rather than giving more time away for more money, where you don't have the ability to enjoy it, we're looking to reduce the time or keep the time consistent, but growing the money. And as your account grows, that's exactly what happens. So that's a wonderful concept as well. And then 5.5, what I mean by that is security. Is when I worked for a boss, is my security was based on them. So yes, I was going to work hard and do my best, but they could at any time decide that I was no longer needed for the business. So my security, or my financial security, was left in the hands of someone else. And that's very hard to accept, and can be very, very worrying when your security is left to someone else. When I became a trader in the early days, I didn't really feel like I had that security. But when you become consistent, and all of a sudden you go, actually, I can see myself making money for the rest of my career, all of a sudden you are in control of your security, your financial security, your financial future. And that's a really, really powerful thing. Now, yes, there's a little bit more stress that comes with that, because now you are in control of those monthly profits that are going to pay the bills, etc. But once you get to the point where you're very, very confident in your ability to make money most months, not every single month, absolutely not, but most months you're making a decent amount of money, and as point 4 says, that money is growing on a month by month basis, you then become very, very liberated. I've never felt so liberated from the point where I started to see consistency in my results. I said to myself, actually, now I am in control of my financial future, no one else. I'm not reliant on anyone else. I have taken control by investing in myself to become brilliant at trading, and now I can control my financial security and the financial security of my nearest and dearest. And that is very motivational, very, very liberating, and makes everything about trading wonderful. So that's the 5 things that scream out at me in terms of the benefits of being a trader. So if those are exciting and those incentivize you and motivate you and drive you more than the 5 cons, then you should absolutely be looking about getting involved in being a trader. If you've taken time out and you found that the first few months of being a trader have been hard work, you've struggled to make profits, then remind yourself of these 5 best things. It's absolutely worthwhile you doing it. You've got to keep on that path. As challenging and tough as it may be, and as frustrating as it may be, if you're not getting your consistent results, it's absolutely worth it. Don't stop until you get there. That would be my one piece of advice, and that's why I said right at the start, the one most important thing to becoming a successful trader is being committed to becoming a successful trader, that nothing is going to stop you from becoming that successful trader. I look back now on my journey and I made so many sacrifices to become a successful trader. I stopped going on holidays, I stopped going out as much with my friends to save money, to invest in me, to give me a skill that will then see me able to make a return on that for the rest of my career. So it hasn't been easy for me, but it's been massively rewarding. And I'm more than happy, as it says here, to answer any questions you may have in your own journey. So if you have any questions in regards to your own journey, where you are, about getting started, how do you get started, what should you do now, what should you do next, or if you've been trading a while and you still haven't seen any consistency in your results, please do drop me a note, and I'll be more than happy to give any advice and suggestions in terms of how you should you plan your own journey. But if today has helped you identify whether you do or don't want to become a trader, then it was well worth the presentation. So I'm going to wrap up there. Hope you've enjoyed your weekend, and no doubt we'll speak in due course. All the very best.